Okay, so hello everyone. Today we will be solving C++ STL sheet and we will be solving good array problem. So let's start by understanding the question. So the question is saying that you would be given an array and the array is called good if except that element the sum of the other elements equals to that element. So for example, if array is this 1337, so it is saying that this array is good. Why? It is good because like element which is 7, it is equal to the sum of the rest of the elements which is 3 plus 3 plus 1, so it is called a good. So what you have to do, you would be given an array and you need to print all those indexes such that if you remove that element, the remaining array forms a good array, right? So let me just show you by an example, like what is the question trying to say. So let's pick up this example, 8 3 5 and 2. Okay, so if the array is let me draw it here. If the array is 8 3 5 and 2, right? So let's consider that you are removing this element. So if you remove this element, the rest of the element becomes this 2 3 and 5. So now you can notice that 5 is equal to 2 plus rest of the elements sum, which is 2 plus 3. So this first index, so you can maintain an answer vector and you can say that yes, first index is a good one. Now you can similarly proceed uh, for second index as well. So if you see that you take out this third, like you assume that 3 is not present in the array. So what all elements remain? The other elements which remain are 8, 5 and 2. So the sum of like, can there be any element which can be the sum of other two elements? So first thing which you need to observe is that, for example, if this array is remaining, right, and if you just sort it, right, if you just sort it, so if you are finding that the sum of the sum, like if you want to find an element which is sum of the other elements, obviously you would try to find and check whether the last element that is equal to the sum of its previous element or not. Why? Because if you add the sum, right, you would obviously be getting a greater sum. So if you pick up any sum which is with any element which is smaller than this, the last element, then you would not be ever able to find that element. I hope you get this. So obviously in this 2 5 and 8, if answer exists, 8 could be one of the possible sums of other elements. Like it cannot happen that 5 can be one of the possible answers, because like obviously 8 is exceeding the sum itself. So just to check whether this is a good array, check that the greatest element is equal to the rest of the sum, which is not in this case. So similarly, you can proceed for all the elements. Just let me pick you this last index. If you pick this last index, the sum of the other elements would be 8 plus 3 plus 5. Sorry, the other elements becomes 8, 3 and 5. And if you carefully see, 8 is equals to the sum of this 5, 3 and 5. So yes, 2 is also a good index. So you push in the answer vector 1 and 4, which is the final answer. I hope so you get this. So how to do this? So basically, what is your recommend? Like what is the question trying to say? So if you remove this element, you need to check which is the last element, like which is the greatest element in the remaining array, such that its sum is equal to the rest of the elements, right? Like the other sum is equal to that element. So to do this, what can you do? You can maybe maintain a multi-set. So for example, if elements are 2, 3, 5, and 8, okay, and you are checking, you're trying to check for, let's say, whether 3, okay, for whether 3, after removing this 3, this array is becoming good or not. So what you can do, you can remove this element from the multi-set, and you can also maintain a total sum in the total array, and you can just check whether this total sum, okay, total sum minus, right, total sum minus the value which you removed now, like so you would obviously be checking for every indexes. So for example, now you are trying to remove for 3, so total sum minus value, so now it becomes 2 5 and 8. Now you check, right, now what do you check? Minus the maximum element, right, minus the maximum element in this, let's take name it as max, whether that is equal to the remaining element or not, right? So uh yeah, if you're able to do this, uh yeah, so like this max would you what, so just let me brief you to once again. So what you can do, you can first try that you can, like, total sum is obviously pre-calculated, right? So if you do what, if you do total sum, right? Minus the value which I'm trying to remove, minus the maximum element in the remaining array, that should be equals to the sum of the remaining array, right? Sum of remaining array. If this is case, then you push into answer vector and return the answer at the last. So just let me show my implementation. So in this, what I did, this is the input vector, and okay. So first thing was that since it can be in a random order, so what did I do? I sorted the array, and I also maintain index with that because I need to check, right, which for which index it is valid or not. So I made a pair of int comment, and I pushed the element and the index and sorted with respect to the array element, right? So I also maintained a set in which I pushed all the elements. So now sorted the array. Now for every element, I would be checking. So this first in this I extracted which is the value which I'm trying to remove and which is the index of that particular element. Now I remove the I remove the that element from the multiset. So for example, if the 2, 3, 5, and 8 was there in the multiset, first I try to remove this. Okay, so in the value I extracted that out and removed that element. Okay, and I calculated the last elements after removing this. So after removing this, the last element would be 8, right? 8. Now I checked total sum minus last minus val. Okay, so total sum would be this sum minus last minus val. So minus last and minus val. So that is, if that is equal to the last value, right? Because I need to check whether that this element is equal to the sum of remaining element or not. If that is equal to last, I push the index. And when I move to check for the next indexes, I again need to insert this value again in the multi set, right? So that's I inserted this and I returned the answer. I hope you got the solution. Thank you.